Have you ever heard of someone who started from nothing and completely transformed their life? Not only did they manifest billions, but they also discovered a secret that anyone can use to create the reality of their dreams. Sounds too good to be true. Stick with me, because in the next few seconds, you're going to hear the story of an ordinary woman who learned how to align her mind and energy to attract abundance in every way. And the best part, you can apply this secret too. Don't miss out, because this could be the turning point you've been waiting for. How many times have you felt stuck in a cycle of frustration, deeply wishing for something to change, but not knowing where to start? That feeling, almost universal, seems like an invisible prison. Everyday life suffocates, dreams drift away, and the weight of other people's expectations crushes any trace of hope. Does that sound familiar? That's exactly where her journey began. An ordinary woman, just like so many others, living a seemingly normal routine, but feeling internally devastated by a sense of emptiness. She wasn't just tired, she felt like her very essence was fading. There was a disconnect between who she was and who she felt she should be. It was at this point that one question began to echo within her. What if there's a secret that could completely transform my life? This simple yet profound question became the spark for a journey that would change not only her destiny, but also how she viewed the universe. That woman was Sara Blakely. Throughout this journey, Sara found herself resonating with spiritual teachings that have transcended time. Her story carries echoes of reflections from sages like Rumi, who said, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." Like Rumi, Sara began to realize that her answers weren't outside of her, but hidden within, waiting to be discovered. She shared that, in the midst of her struggles, she began to attract teachings from masters and guides. These teachings weren't about external achievements or magic formulas, but rather about an inner awakening. One of the first steps was confronting her limiting beliefs, those little voices that told her she wasn't capable, that success was for others, or that happiness was unattainable. Sara mentions that one of the most transformative moments was when she encountered the idea that what you believe about yourself shapes your reality. This concept, explored by thinkers like Neville Goddard, deeply resonated with her. Goddard taught that what we assume to be true in our minds ultimately manifests in our lives. For the first time, Sara allowed herself to imagine a different future, one where she wasn't a victim of circumstances, but the creator of her own reality. Her first steps weren't easy. There was internal resistance, doubt, and setbacks. But something inside her, a spark that once seemed extinguished, began to shine again. During this process, she found comfort in practices like meditation and reflective writing, which allowed her to hear her own voice and distinguish her true desires from external noise. Then, as if the universe was confirming she was on the right path, small changes started happening. Things that once seemed impossible began to align. It was as if Sara had found the key to a new way of living. At this point, she reveals, "I didn't know exactly what I was looking for, but I knew I needed to change. Everything started when I stopped looking outward and began searching within myself." Sara was in a period of intense doubt and pain, a time when everything seemed to be slipping through her fingers. It was in this restless state that she stumbled upon an idea that would completely change her perception of reality. Life isn't governed solely by chance, but by universal forces that respond to what we think and feel. This discovery didn't come as a sudden lightning bolt, but rather as a spark that ignited her curiosity. She came across reflections on how our thoughts and emotions shape not just our internal state, but also the reality around us. The idea resonated deeply with her. We are what we think and feel. This led her to reflect on the patterns of thought and emotions she had been nurturing throughout her life. She realized that her mind was often anchored in fears and worries, as if these feelings were an invisible prison. In her account, Sara mentions that change began to happen when she started recognizing the need to be aware of her own thoughts and emotions. This was the moment she began to see that transformation didn't require something external, but rather an internal shift, This simple yet powerful concept connected her to a truth that many ancient sages had already taught. In the teaching attributed to the philosopher Buddha, we find echoes of this understanding. What we think, we become. Similarly, Sara began to understand that her emotions and thoughts weren't mere reflections of the external world, but creative forces that attracted and shaped her reality. In sharing her experience, Sara emphasizes that the first change didn't come from something big or extraordinary. It was like adjusting a small mirror to reflect a different light. By observing her thoughts and emotions more closely, she took the first step towards something greater, a step that connected her to the possibility of living more aligned with what she truly desired. She didn't try to change everything at once, but instead focused on shifting her personal vibration, a word she used to describe the energy that seemed to flow from within outward. The power of silence and presence. Silence and presence became fundamental pillars in Sara's journey. She shared how, when facing anxiety about the future and regrets about the past, she felt her energy constantly being drained. It was in this context that silence emerged as an invitation, a challenge for her to finally confront her mind in its purest state. Sara mentioned how at first, practicing silence felt uncomfortable. The thoughts that surfaced, often noisy and chaotic, made it seem as though silence amplified her worries. However, instead of running away, she chose to stay. This choice led to a profound realization. She was not her thoughts. According to Sara, this insight brought unexpected freedom, as if a heavy layer had been lifted from her consciousness as she explored the power of the present moment. Sara emphasized the importance of conscious breathing as her anchor. Each inhale and exhale helped her connect with the here and now, breaking the relentless cycle of worries. For her, this practice wasn't just a tool for calm, but a gateway to discovering deeper aspects of her essence. Hearing her account, it's impossible not to draw parallels with teachings from spiritual masters like Eckhart Tolle. Although Sara didn't directly mention these authors, her experience reflects a central principle they advocate. Being present in the now is a path to liberation from suffering. Her statement, "Being in the present moment is all we have," echoes universal teachings that transcend cultures and eras. Sara also revealed that as she delved deeper into the practice of presence, she began noticing a subtle alignment in her life. It wasn't a magical dissolution of barriers, but a gradual shift in her perception. She started seeing her challenges more clearly, without the interference of automatic judgments or projected fears. This new perspective brought an unexpected lightness, as if she could finally breathe freely. This journey through silence wasn't just a way to find peace, but a way to reconnect with something greater, with herself and the natural flow of life. It's a powerful lesson on how simple yet challenging practices can open doors to profound and lasting transformations. The power of intention. Sara shared that discovering the power of intention was one of the most transformative aspects of her journey, but not in a superficial or simplistic way. During the interview, she explained that intention isn't just about intensely wanting something, it's about fully aligning your internal state with what you want to manifest. This idea echoes the teachings of Wayne Dyer, who described intention as a vibrational force shaping the universe. But Sara's experience took it even further. She revealed that at first she believed simply wanting something deeply was enough, but she soon realized that the anxiety surrounding that desire often created resistance. "I understood it wasn't about wanting it hard enough, but about feeling like it was already mine. When I adjusted my vibration, everything started to flow," she said. This moment of clarity introduced Sara to the practice of visualizing her goals as already achieved, creating an energy field that aligned with her desires. The practice wasn't easy at first, but Sara reached a turning point when she began associating her intentions with positive emotions. "I would pause, take a deep breath, and ask myself, how would I feel if this were already real?" she explained. This approach transformed her way of thinking and acting, leading her to a state of full trust in the process. The clarity of her intention, combined with letting go of the outcome, became her personal formula. It's not about control, it's about trust. It's about surrendering and letting the universe do its part. This insight aligns strongly with concepts from teachers like Neville Goddard, who argued that the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret. For Sara, this meant not just thinking about what she wanted, but mentally living the experience of having already achieved it. She explained that this kind of alignment isn't automatic but requires consistent practice and patience. Another aspect Sara highlighted was her use of daily practices to strengthen her intention. Every morning, she would set aside time to visualize her ideal life, not just seeing mental images, but fully immersing herself in the experience. I imagined the smell of the environment, the sound of people, the texture of things around me. The more vivid it felt, the more real it seemed, and I knew my vibration was aligning. She also stressed the importance of releasing rigid expectations. The universe has creative ways of responding to our intentions, and sometimes we're so fixated on the how that we miss the blessings coming in other forms. This mindset of letting go brought Sara a sense of relief and lightness, both of which were essential for maintaining her energy in a high and aligned state. In essence, Sara discovered that the power of intention lies in balancing clarity and surrender. You need to know what you want, but also trust enough to let it go. That dance between doing and allowing is where the magic happens. This lesson, deeply rooted in her personal experiences, offers a practical guidance for anyone looking to manifest their desires in a harmonious and aligned way. Sara revealed that one of the most impactful moments of her journey came when she realized she carried limiting beliefs that shaped her reality. For years, thoughts like, "I'm not capable," and "this isn't for me," acted as invisible barriers, undermining her confidence and blocking opportunities. However, in a moment of clarity, she recognized that these thoughts weren't absolute truths, but reflections of past experiences and external voices. She shared that her first step was to identify these beliefs and bring them to light. "I needed to confront them, almost like challenging an old acquaintance," Sara said. Inspired by mental transformation practices described by authors like Louise Hay, she began using positive affirmations. At first, it felt strange. Repeating phrases like, "I am worthy," and "my life is full of opportunities" felt forced, she admitted. But as she persisted, she noticed something incredible. Her energy started to shift. A simple yet powerful exercise that Sara adopted was keeping a notebook where she recorded all the negative thoughts that came up throughout the day. Next to each one, she would write an opposite affirmation. For example, if she caught herself thinking, "Nothing ever works out for me," she would counter it with, "Everything is aligning in my favor, even if I can't see it yet." This practice became a daily ritual and helped her reprogram her mind, replacing old patterns with new pathways of possibility. Comparing her experience to Joseph Murphy's ideas about the power of the subconscious, a clear parallel emerges. Just as Murphy argued that our subconscious accepts the ideas we consistently repeat, Sara saw positive affirmations as seeds planted in fertile soil. Over time, those seeds began to sprout, bringing tangible changes to her life. Gratitude was another revolutionary discovery for Sara. Like many people, she had previously been caught in a cycle of worry and longing for what she didn't yet have. "I was always focused on what was missing, on what was wrong," she explained. But something shifted when she began practicing gratitude consciously, a habit she linked to teachings from figures like Wayne Dyer. On one of her most difficult days, when it felt impossible to find anything positive, Sara decided to try a simple exercise. She challenged herself to identify 3 things she was grateful for. At first, it was just small, almost trivial things, like the sunlight coming through the window or the smell of coffee, she said. But as she kept at it, she noticed that these small moments of gratitude started creating a ripple of positivity. She eventually made gratitude a daily practice. Every morning before getting out of bed, Sara would list 5 things she was thankful for. "It didn't matter how big or small the reason was. I gave thanks, and that changed everything," she shared. Instead of focusing on what she didn't yet have, she began celebrating what was already present in her life. When comparing her practice to Wayne Dyer's philosophy, the alignment is clear. Dyer advocated that gratitude is a vibrational state that attracts more of what we give thanks for. Sara described it in a simple yet impactful way. If you don't celebrate what you have now, how can you expect to receive more? This shift in focus not only brought her peace, but also opened doors to new opportunities and connections, creating a cycle of abundance in her life. Her journey reflects a universal wisdom. Gratitude isn't just an emotion, it's a state of being, a frequency that aligns our lives with what we want to manifest. The connection with the divine. Throughout her journey, Sara faced moments of intense doubt and fear. She described how these feelings often emerged, especially when confronted with rejections or unexpected obstacles. Before her transformation, such moments would paralyze her. Over time, however, she began to see challenges not as signs that she was on the wrong path, but as opportunities for growth. During the interview, Sara shared that she adopted a simple yet powerful mantra: "What you think of me is none of my business." This phrase, which she repeated to herself during moments of distress, helped silence both external and internal voices that questioned her worth and abilities. For her, others' judgments stopped being emotional barriers and became reminders that her journey was unique and should be guided by her own truth. Inspired by spiritual and psychological teachings, Sara began to view fear from a new perspective. Instead of avoiding it, she chose to embrace it. "Fear is a sign that I'm growing," she said, comparing her experience to crossing an unstable bridge. With each step, the bridge seemed sturdier, not because the challenges disappeared, but because her courage grew. Sara also mentioned practices that helped to navigate these moments of uncertainty, such as conscious breathing exercises and reflective journaling. "When something scared me, I would write down exactly what I was feeling and then ask myself, what is real about this? Most of the time, I realized the fear was just an illusion, a projection of what could go wrong." This approach reflects the wisdom of great spiritual teachers like Pema Chodron, who teaches that true freedom comes from facing fear rather than avoiding it. For Sara, each time she overcame a challenge, she felt closer to her essence and stronger in her resolve to continue her journey. One of the most moving moments of the interview was when Sara spoke about her connection with the divine. For her, this relationship wasn't confined to rituals or dogmas, but was present in every aspect of her life. Inspired by teachings from masters like Ram Dass, Sara began to understand the concept of being in the flow. She explained that this idea meant trusting that, even in moments of chaos, the universe was working in her favor. Sara recounted at a time in her life when everything seemed to be falling apart, yet instead of succumbing to despair, she turned inward and asked herself, "What if this is happening for my highest good?" This simple question transformed how she viewed challenges and reinforced her faith in a higher power. Her practice of connecting with the divine was simple but profound. Every morning, she spent a few minutes meditating in silence, not asking but listening. "I felt like I didn't need to know all the answers. What mattered was trusting that they would come at the right time." She also mentioned the practice of expressing gratitude not just for what she already had, but for what was yet to come, believing that this trust created a powerful energetic field for manifestation. When comparing this approach to universal spiritual teachings, it's clear that Sara's experience resonates with the concept of surrender to the moment present in various traditions. Ram Dass describes this as being here now, a state where the mind stops struggling with the past and future, allowing the present to reveal its perfection. For Sara, this surrender wasn't passive but active, requiring presence, trust, and aligned action. Sara shared that by cultivating this connection with the divine, she felt more supported and secure, even in moments of uncertainty. For her, this was one of the most profound discoveries of her journey, understanding that by aligning her energy with the universe, she became a co-creator of her reality rather than just a spectator. Manifestation, more than billions. At the peak of her journey, Sara finally manifested the abundance she had been seeking. What is most striking isn't just the material wealth she achieved, which, indeed, reached staggering numbers, but what she discovered beyond it. During the interview, Sara emphasized that the billions she attracted weren't just in her bank account, but in a new way of living. For her, true abundance transcended money. She described a moment of epiphany as she reflected on everything she had achieved and realized that the greatest wealth was the inner peace that had blossomed in her life. "What's the point of having millions if you're constantly anxious?" she asked, echoing sentiments similar to those of figures like Lao Tzu, who believed that true wealth comes from a heart at peace. Sara also highlighted the importance of human connections in this equation. For her, money brought freedom, but it was aligning with her values and essence that allowed her to build meaningful relationships. "The people around me started to change when I changed," she stated. This transformation reflects one of the often overlooked universal laws. We attract what we are. In the end, Sara realized that money was just a tool, a reflection of the vibrational state she had reached. Spiritual fulfillment, the sense of being in the right place and living aligned with the universe, were the true manifestations her journey had provided. "The billions aren't just in what you have, but in what you're able to feel and share with the world," she concluded. Sara's story doesn't end with her. It becomes a direct invitation to those who hear it. During the interview, she insisted that her success wasn't exclusive or unattainable for others. "If I could do it, why can't you?" Sara believes the secret to manifestation isn't in magical formulas accessible only to a few, but in the daily practice of reprogramming the mind, aligning with one's intentions, and trusting the flow of the universe. She demystifies the process, emphasizing that anyone, regardless of their circumstances, can begin this journey. Her message is a powerful reminder that transformation starts within. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start where you are, she advises, echoing teachings from masters like Eckhart Tolle, who advocate that the only truly accessible moment for change is the present. She ends with an emotional and practical appeal. For Sara, every day is a new opportunity to align with the life you desire. Whether it's dedicating a few minutes to gratitude, challenging a limiting belief, or simply trusting that the universe is on your side, she believes that committing to small daily steps can lead to unimaginable transformations. With a smile and the calm of someone who practices what she preaches, Sara concludes her story with a phrase that embodies the power of her journey. "Everything you need is already within you. All that's missing is the courage to start." Before you go, a special video has been prepared to complement everything we've talked about here. Don't miss this chance to take the next step in your journey. It's right here on the screen. Click it now and we'll meet there. Let's continue this path of transformation together. I'll see you soon.